June 11, 1962. Three prisoners vanish from the most secure prison in the United States. Alcatraz sat alone in the middle of the freezing waters of San Francisco Bay. High walls, armed guards, and deadly currents made escape almost impossible. For decades, prisoners believed leaving Alcatraz alive was simply a fantasy. Yet somehow, in the darkness of night, three men attempted the impossible. No alarms sounded, no guards noticed. The prison slept through history being made. By morning, the cells looked normal, but something was terribly wrong. Three prisoners were gone, vanished into the cold fog of the bay. Their names would soon become legendary in American criminal history. The mastermind behind it all was a man named Frank Morris. Morris had spent most of his life moving between prisons and reform schools. He was known for his intelligence, patience, and ability to outsmart authorities. Officials believed Alcatraz would finally contain him. But Morris was already studying the prison the moment he arrived. He watched the guards, memorized routines, and analyzed every weakness in the walls. Inside the prison cafeteria, Morris quietly met two brothers. John and Clarence Anglin had grown up together, committing small crimes. Unlike Morris, the brothers were not violent men, but they shared something important: determination. And together, they would attempt one of history's boldest prison escapes. Night after night, Morris studied the layout of the prison. He noticed something unusual behind the sink in his small cell. The concrete wall seemed slightly weaker than the others. It wasn't much, but to Morris, it was an opportunity. Using a simple metal spoon, he began slowly scraping the wall. The work was slow, quiet, and incredibly risky. Every sound had to be hidden from the guards walking nearby. If they were caught, the escape would end before it even began. But Morris was patient. Tiny pieces of concrete fell away, night after night. Eventually, a small hole began forming behind the sink. Soon, the Anglin brothers began digging inside their own cells as well. They worked quietly while guards patrolled the cell block. During the day, they covered the holes carefully. Painted cardboard and shadows hid the damage from casual inspection. Weeks passed. The holes slowly grew large enough to crawl through. Behind the walls was a hidden maintenance corridor. It ran through the prison like a secret tunnel. This space would become the heart of their escape plan. But escaping the cell block was only the beginning. Outside the prison waited freezing water and deadly currents. To survive the ocean, they needed something extraordinary. So they began building it. Inside the hidden corridor, the prisoners started collecting raincoats. Bright yellow prison raincoats became their secret building material. Piece by piece, they stitched the coats together. Slowly, a strange object began taking shape. It was a homemade inflatable raft. The men worked in darkness, guided only by dim, stolen light. The work required patience and precision. If the raft failed, they would certainly drown. Alongside the raft, they built makeshift paddles. Scrap wood was carefully shaped into tools strong enough to row. But the plan required one more brilliant trick. Something to fool the guards during the night inspections. Using soap, paper, and human hair, they created something shocking: fake human heads. Each head looked eerily realistic. Painted faces and real hair made them appear alive. These dummy heads would lie in their beds during the escape. When guards shined flashlights into the cells, they would see sleeping prisoners. At least, that was the plan. Months of preparation were finally coming together. The hidden attic above the cell block became their workshop. There, they stored the raft and tools for the final night. Every day brought them closer to freedom, but also closer to disaster. If a single guard discovered their secret tunnel, everything would end. Still, the men continued working, slowly, carefully, patiently, until finally, the night of the escape arrived, June 11th, 1962. The prison fell silent. The guards completed their routine checks. Flashlights briefly illuminated the prisoners' faces. But the guards saw only sleeping men. They had no idea those faces were fake. Behind the walls, the real prisoners began moving. Morris crawled through the tunnel first. Then the Anglin brothers followed. One by one, they entered the dark maintenance corridor. Above them waited the final path to freedom. A dusty attic above the prison cells. Climbing quietly, they pulled their equipment with them. The raft, the paddles, everything they would need to survive the bay. Finally, they reached the roof of the prison. The cold night wind rushed around them. Below, the ocean stretched endlessly into darkness. But the most dangerous part was still ahead. Morning fog drifted slowly across San Francisco Bay as a new day began over Alcatraz. Inside the prison, guards began their routine, unaware of the shocking discovery waiting ahead. Cell doors opened one by one as the morning count began, but something felt strangely wrong inside one of the cell blocks. A guard approached Frank Morris's cell and shined his flashlight inside. At first glance, everything looked completely normal. A prisoner appeared to be sleeping peacefully beneath the blanket, but something about the scene felt unnatural. The guard stepped closer, examining the figure lying on the bed. Then suddenly, the shocking truth was revealed. The head rolled off the pillow. It was not a prisoner. It was a dummy. Within seconds, alarms exploded across the prison. Guards rushed through the corridors shouting warnings. Cells were searched frantically as panic spread through the facility. 3 prisoners were missing: Frank Morris, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin. The impossible had happened. Someone had escaped Alcatraz. Prison officials immediately sealed the entire island. Armed guards searched every hallway, room, and hidden passage. The hole behind the sink was quickly discovered. Investigators stared in disbelief at the carefully carved tunnel. The prisoners had been digging for months without detection. The tunnel led into a hidden maintenance corridor. From there, the trail continued upward into the prison attic. Inside the attic, investigators discovered their secret workshop. Pieces of raincoats were scattered across the dusty floor. Wooden paddles leaned against the walls, and there, folded carefully, lay the homemade raft. The escape plan was far more sophisticated than anyone expected. These men hadn't acted on impulse. They had planned everything with extraordinary precision. Soon, federal authorities were called to investigate. Agents from the FBI arrived on Alcatraz within hours. The escape immediately became one of the largest manhunts in American history. Police boats began searching the freezing waters around the island. Helicopters circled above the bay, scanning for survivors. Divers explored the shoreline and rocky cliffs. Every inch of the surrounding waters was examined. The ocean currents in San Francisco Bay were extremely dangerous. Strong tides could pull swimmers miles away within minutes. Water temperatures were near freezing. Experts believed survival would be extremely difficult. Many investigators believed the prisoners had drowned, but there was no proof. No bodies were ever recovered. No clothing was found along the shoreline, and that made the mystery even deeper. As the search continued, small clues began to appear. A damaged piece of raincoat material was found floating in the bay. Later, fragments of the raft were discovered near Angel Island. These discoveries suggested the raft had been in the water, but what happened after that remained unknown. Did the raft sink? Did the prisoners drown? Or did they actually reach land? Investigators began studying ocean currents carefully. Maps of the bay were analyzed in detail. Some experts believed the currents could carry a raft toward the mainland. Others believed the men would have been dragged out to sea. The debate quickly divided investigators. Meanwhile, the public became fascinated with the story. Newspapers across the country printed dramatic headlines. The Alcatraz escape dominated national news. People everywhere were asking the same question. Had the prisoners actually survived? Reporters flooded San Francisco, hoping to uncover answers. Television crews filmed outside the prison island. The escape became one of the most famous prison breaks ever recorded. But investigators were still searching for hard evidence. Agents began questioning the families of the Anglin brothers. Their relatives insisted the brothers were strong swimmers. They had grown up near rivers in Florida. Swimming long distances had been part of their childhood. That detail made investigators pause. Perhaps the escape had not been as impossible as it seemed. Then something even stranger happened. Months after the escape, unusual rumors began to appear. Some witnesses claimed to have seen suspicious men along the shoreline. Others reported a mysterious boat operating in the bay that night. None of the sightings could be confirmed, but they kept the investigation alive. The FBI refused to close the case. Years passed. Still, no bodies were found. The mystery of Alcatraz continued to grow. Investigators followed leads across multiple states. Every possible clue was examined carefully, but the three escapees remained missing. They had vanished without leaving a clear trace. Some experts believed the prisoners drowned in the icy waters. Others believed something far more incredible had happened. Perhaps the men had actually succeeded. Decades passed, but the mystery of Alcatraz never faded from public memory. Modern investigators reopened files long thought cold, searching for clues that might solve the unsolved escape. They studied photographs, maps, and FBI reports from 1962 with fresh eyes. Old mugshots of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers were analyzed in detail. Every facial feature, every scar, every detail was compared meticulously. Investigators used new forensic techniques unavailable during the 1960s. Digital reconstructions brought the escapees' faces to life as they might appear today. Ocean current simulations suggested a raft could have reached distant shorelines safely. Some theories proposed the men had reached the mainland undetected. Investigators considered the possibility of new identities in faraway towns. Then, curious letters began appearing, postmarked decades after the escape. Some claimed the Anglin brothers were still alive. One letter was signed with a cryptic J and A. Investigators examined the handwriting and postmark carefully, searching for authenticity. Was this a prank, or had the men truly survived? Additional letters hinted at locations in South America, adding to the mystery. Investigators cross-referenced travel documents from the 1960s for unusual activity. Every lead was investigated, but nothing could be fully verified. Rumors swirled of two men living quietly in rural farms far from the United States. Some locals claimed to have seen men resembling the Anglin brothers. Photos surfaced showing elderly men strikingly similar to John and Clarence, but none could be confirmed definitively. Evidence was circumstantial but tantalizing, fueling decades of speculation. Could the prisoners really have survived decades in hiding? The FBI officially kept the case open for many years, yet the truth remained elusive, hidden behind fog and ocean waves. The mystery grew larger than the escape itself. Public fascination continued, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and movies. Tourists still visit Alcatraz, peering into the cells where the escape began. The tunnel behind the sink has been preserved as a historical artifact. The dummy heads remain one of the prison's most notorious exhibits. Visitors marvel at the ingenuity and determination of the escapees. Historians debate whether Morris and the Anglin brothers truly survived the treacherous waters. Some insist they perished in the bay, victims of nature's cruel currents. Others believe they successfully vanished, free at last from Alcatraz's walls. Alcatraz stands today as a symbol of resilience and mystery. The prison, once thought escape-proof, now fascinates generations around the world. Fog drifts across the island, as it did the night of the escape. The bay's waves continue to crash against its rocky shores. Historians and investigators alike ponder the fate of the three men. Did they live quietly, unknown, for decades beyond American shores? Or were they claimed by the icy waters of the bay? Some letters and photos hint at survival, but proof remains elusive. The unanswered questions have cemented the escape as legendary. Every year, new enthusiasts revisit the story, uncovering new theories and possibilities. Alcatraz's reputation as the most secure prison in the world has endured. Yet one night, three men showed that cleverness and patience could overcome even the impossible. The escape remains a testament to human ingenuity under pressure. From tunnels to rafts, from dummy heads to clever timing, the plan was flawless. The ocean may have claimed them, or it may have set them free. Their story continues to inspire fascination and intrigue worldwide. Every visitor to the island feels the weight of history and mystery. The escape from Alcatraz is more than a crime story. It is a tale of courage, cunning, and enduring enigma. Even today, the fog over the bay seems to whisper secrets. Somewhere, perhaps, the men live on, hidden from the world. The unanswered questions linger like the ever-present ocean mist. And that is why the story endures, more than 60 years later. Alcatraz remains silent, yet alive with tales of escape and legend. The bay holds its secrets, and the prison watches over them still. History remembers the escape, but the final truth may never be known. Legends like this inspire generations to dream, to question, to explore. The Alcatraz escape proves that even the most secure walls cannot contain human ingenuity. And so the mystery remains, captivating minds around the world to this day. Fog rises over the island one last time as the sun sets. The water glistens eerily, reflecting the unsolved story beneath its surface. The shadows of three men may forever remain hidden in history. Alcatraz stands as both monument and mystery, a symbol of endurance and legend. The escape from Alcatraz is remembered, retold, and celebrated as the greatest prison break in history.